What if I just rickrolled everybody right now? Never gonna give you up. So you know those learn this drum chop videos? It's gonna seem like I'm throwing a couple creators under the bus right now, but rest assured I hold them in the highest regard. And I'll explain in a minute. But here are some creators I admire sharing licks or chops. It's great for Insta Reels or TikTok. And it's definitely impressive. And heck, I'm guilty of it too. But this type of thing used to frustrate me so much. Because it's like you're trying to learn basic English and somebody's out there saying, guys, the word of the week this week is indubitably. I just don't know where to put it. And don't clip that, you guys. So I'd see these slick drum chops, then I'd shed them, then the only way I could pull them out on a gig was if I consciously forced it. Like having one cool sentence in French. Je suis aussi heureux qu'un petit fille. Then if the conversation goes further than that, you've got nothing. So for quite a while, I just closed the book on learning one-off licks or chops. I'd post them on Reels or Shorts to attract subscribers, but I sort of just saw them as drum junk food. Then I discovered this one cool trick. No, I'm serious. I know it sounds like total clickbait, but I actually did really discover one cool trick. Or to be precise, my students helped me discover it. In my one-on-one coaching program, more info below. And all of a sudden, I had a context for how to use all those licks my content brethren have been sharing all these years. It was like all of a sudden I was seeing in color. Anyway, today, dear viewer, I'm going to show that discovery to you. It's simple. I didn't say it would be easy. It will take some time. But I'm going to attempt to give you what I would have appreciated those many years ago. A roadmap to light the way, to see the matrix, and to have a, matrix to plug those licks into so they come out in your improvisation without you having to force it. I'm Nate, this is the 80/20 Drummer, and today, a simple but not easy system to stop making the classic drum chops practice mistake and start best lifing on drums. Stay tuned. And folks, if you're seeing this interstitial, it means you're seeing the full-length members-only version. Congrats! And if you want the free transcription or study guide or whatever, that's at the link right below this player. Anyway, on with the video. So, JP Bouvet and I are intentionally not watching each other's material because neither of us wants to worry we're influenced by the other because there's been some parallel thinking. Or, if we're keeping it 100, it's more likely I'm not watching JP for that reason, and he's not watching me because he's just really busy. All of this is prelude to a concept we came up with independently at almost the same time, and I have zero idea if mine is the same as his. But the phrase is paradiddle flow. And I define my paradiddle flow as creating ambient 8ths or 16ths around the kit, using permutations of paradiddles, double paradiddles, singles, and kick drum. I found it worked very well for some of my jazz students. Here's why I'm telling you this. Paradiddle flow is a special case of something I call the matrix, because nobody's ever co-opted that word for ill before. But the matrix just refers to ambient improvisation at a specified subdivision. If I want to do linear combos with some diddles, here's one example of a matrix. It's basically what you can improvise to create a constant flow at a subdivision without thinking about it. Now, here's the really big revelation. For my jazz students, if they were doing the paradiddle flow matrix, and we wanted to start ingraining idiomatic jazz solo vocabulary, like this Philly Joe lick, we could start by just having them play the matrix as the backdrop, and the lick wherever they could fit it. Then I was like, we can do that for any lick! And that's the trick. That's what let me start utilizing random internet chops again, from all those excellent creators, or things I invented that I wanted to use more of. Take your matrix, then work your lick in over the course of a few days or weeks. When it's sufficiently ingrained, it becomes part of the matrix, and it's time for the next lick. Like self-replicating AI. Because that's reassuring, am I right?
Come with me if you want to live.
So you're what, only X minutes into this video and I've already shown you the thing. But of course, I said it was simple, Not easy. And the devil is in the details. An obvious question you might have is, how do I make a matrix? You still need something there to build on top of. But the beauty of this system is that licks that were once licks become part of the matrix. So you don't need much to start out with, but you need something. Computer science, folks. First of all, I know you're there because I see you when you sign up for my coaching. Second of all, hi. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, but with the original computers, they had a punch card thingy to load the code, and they did something called bootstrapping, where they needed the bare minimum code just to start receiving the other code, and then they were off to the races. Do I have that roughly right? I'd look that up, but I'm easily distracted, and if I open any other tabs, I'm not going to finish the script. Anyway, this is like that, a boot sequence. And for that, I'm going to give you 3 kernels and show you what the OGs and coaching students already know. Something called a switching exercise. The first line of code is just this. Ye olde right left left kick. You know it, you love it. In this exercise, we're going to play it with an accent on the first note of the pattern. On the snare, we'll play that as a rim shot, and on the toms as a healthy, robust accent. And bear in mind, here I'm showing you the what. Just playing this cleanly and in time is its own whole thing. And attention to detail here is one of the keys of breaking free of that intermediate drummer doldrum. Video that goes way deeper into that, here. Anyway, I'd practice that in time at various tempos and just orchestrate it around. The accent hand moves, but for now, the unaccented strokes stay on the snare. Ready for the next bit of boot code? It's this. What the shed drummers call 3/1, because 3 hand strokes and 1 kick note. With this, the hand strokes are all accents, and when they happen on the snare, they're rim shots. Practice moving around the kit with this. Then, when you're ready, practice switching between this and the first lick. You can change order and you can change orchestration. For instance, you can go lick 1, lick 1, lick 2, lick 1, lick 1, lick 2, lick 1, lick 2, lick 2, lick 2, etc. And you can play the accented strokes on any surface, except your best friend's head, unless he's wearing a helmet. Ready for the third line of boot code? It's just this, right left kick, what the shed drummers call 2/1. For this version, let's make both hand strokes accents and rim shots if they're occurring on the snare. Got it? Now let's practice switching among all 3. I'd do this medium slow at first and focus on being clean, making all the subdivisions the same distance apart, and nailing the stick heights. You might be tempted to innovate, or go back to the stuff you already know, but in order to grow, we have to do stuff that's uncomfortable, and make it feel comfortable by repetition. So the more reps you get with the strict interpretation, the faster you'll grow. Simple as that. The other thing to mention is getting up to speed with this stuff can be a 2-month project, and there's nothing wrong with that. Remember, every line of this boot code is a lick too, so you're already learning 3. After the first few weeks of practicing, test how well you've ingrained things by doing some trading. Play a little groove for 2 bars, then play a fill in this style for 2 bars. When you're able to improvise this stuff without thinking about it, you'll know those 3 lines of boot code are loaded into your matrix. And yes, I know that sounds weird. Now we're going to look at how to inject a new lick into the matrix. And we'll start with a simple one. Right, right, left, kick. I like this as a pattern breaker because it's the first one that can end in a standalone left-hand accent. And I get a lot of mileage out of this family of licks. Kind of like Italian aperitifs. Amaro, Campari, Aperol, a lot of mileage there. You got your Negronis, your Boulevardiers, your So, right, right, left kick. You can do this with the rights unaccented if you're playing both rights on the snare. And let's always play the left accented. The main applications for this version would be both hands on the snare and rights on the snare with the left accent on the rack tom. The other flavor is all hand strokes on the toms, in which case I'd play all hand strokes as accents and aim for equal volume. Speed this up and add a lot of pizzazz, and this is the Forest Rice Special. Okay, how to shed it. I'd start just playing it out of time around the kit to get an idea what feels good and start finding some basic shapes. Next, I'd start playing a bit of switching exercise in time between just the 2 versions of this lick. You can do this with a click or without. Okay, now comes the crux. The proof of concept, the prototype. We're going to insert the first lick into the matrix. And we'll leave it for my editor to choose a meme here, hopefully G-rated.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
And here, because it's relatively simple, we're just going to make a 4-way switching exercise between the ambience created by our original boot licks and the new lick we're injecting in. There's another way to look at this, of course, which is that we're not even thinking about the matrix, that's already on autopilot. Instead, we're just finding places within the ambience to inject the new lick. As before, when we can trade between 2 bars of groove and 2 bars of fill, and the lick comes out naturally in the flow, we know it's in there and we can move on to the next. And if you're seeing this clip, you're watching the members only version, where we'll continue on. Which I think you knew, right? Anyway, next lick. Sometimes we're going to encounter a lick that doesn't fit as seamlessly, or which we're not sure exactly how will tie in with the other stuff we're doing. One such lick is this. It's a little tom run. I'm not even sure how many strokes it is. This is to illustrate that sometimes when we get a new lick, we're not totally sure where it will fit yet. We can't just switch between it and our matrix seamlessly because there are sticking idiosyncrasies, and we could get hung up. So the solution I and my students came up with is that we don't need to know every possible combination. You just need 1 to 2 good ones. Then you can expand. For example, this. I'll play the tom lick and connect it to the rest of the matrix like this. If I have that, I can use it every time at first. But how do we get there? As before, I'm going to start off by just playing it out of time and exploring where it might go. By now, I'm also assuming my matrix incorporates more than just the original 3 licks, so I have some degrees of freedom there. We'll let the footage of me exploring run for a minute, and I'll give a thumbs up when I have a good 1 or 2. Once I have those, I'll isolate them and just practice those, starting and stopping if necessary, flowing into the next idea just a little to get them in context. After a couple of sessions comes the next test. Can I add time to it and do it without stopping? Now, I'll just flow in and out of the lick in time, kind of alternating between the lick and the matrix. If this feels comfortable in time, even slow, we know we did our homework right. But the job still isn't finished. After a few days, I practiced trading again. 2 bars of groove, 2 bars of fill. I'm studiously not thinking about incorporating the lick here. I'm just seeing if it comes out organically. If it does, we know we're done. Now, I want to show you one of my recent ride or dies. Right, left, kick. First 3 singles accented, last 2 lefts ghosted. First 3 can be on any surface, and if they're on the snare, they're rim shots. Last 2 on the snare. To start off, we're just going to play this around the drums, orchestrating to see what of the many combos we like the best. I'll tell you what I like. When the first 3 strokes are split between 2 different drums, or snare and closed hats. Yum. As with the last lick, we're going to play this out of time and see how it connects up to other stuff. This is slightly less crucial than with the last lick because that had more specific orchestration, and this is more dealer's choice. ready, we'll start to play it in time and connect it up to our ambient improv matrix. And after a few days of that, we'll start trading with 2 bars of groove. When the lick comes out naturally without having to think about it, you'll know you've got it. That's how you get the gig. Of course, there's tons we won't have time to touch on. For instance, there's a whole other realm with triplets and sextuplets. And all this stuff works there too, it's just more complex. But hopefully this gives you an overview of the matrix system. I think it's pretty swell. And it finally gives me a way to incorporate all those Instagram licks I see, or even jazz licks off of old jazz records, without feeling like I'm forcing it. What do you think? Leave a blog comment below. Anyway, bye for now. Never gonna give, never gonna give you up, 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 never gonna give you up. Do we like this? Never gonna give you up. Oh fuck, and then I threw my stick across the... That's actually not how you get the gig, you guys. You need 2 sticks for the gig. I did the that's how you get the gig shtick, not even realizing that it wasn't recording, so that's not how you get the gig at all. Not even remotely how you get the gig. It's how you lose the gig, especially if no one comes to your rescue with a spare.